If 448,000 people jumped off a bridge, would you do it too? Well, that's the number of people who bought a Toyota RAV4 last year, making this the best-selling non-pickup truck in the United States. Now, were nearly 500,000 people wrong? Did they just flock to this car because it's popular, or is it actually good? You see, subsequent generations of the RAV4 were pretty dismal to drive and were kind of like, well, jumping off a bridge. But Toyota redesigned it in 2019. This is a 2020 model, which has a couple more updates over the 19, like Android Auto, finally. So is this RAV4 finally a choice worth making, or did nearly 500,000 people get their car buying decision wrong? That's what we're here to find out. We're driving the 2020 RAV4 Hybrid in the highest grade limited trim to see what it's like. Let's get it out on the road. All right, so we're out on the road in the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. They will also sell you a gas version of this car, but it is this, the hybrid, that I recommend, and I'm going to talk to you about why that is. This is because for the 2019 model year, when they redesigned the RAV4, they made it so that the hybrid was actually the most powerful version you could get. Now that's going to change because they're coming out with a plug-in prime version that's going to be a lot more powerful than this. But as I record this video, the RAV4 Hybrid is the most powerful version of the RAV4 you can get. You get a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, which is the same as what you get in the gas engine. It makes a little less power, 176 horsepower and 163 pound-feet of torque. Aha, but I said it's more powerful. That's because the electric motor adds to that total. The electric motor by itself produces 118 horsepower in the front and then 54 horsepower to the rear, but you can't just add that directly to the total. You have to do some kind of weird hybrid math that I've never fully understand. I've had engineers try to explain it to me because the electric motor can never contribute all of its power in conjunction with the gasoline motor, I think is the easiest way of explaining it. Basically, 219 horsepower combined. So that is the best that you're going to get in a RAV4 until that plug-in hybrid prime comes out. Now all of that power is routed to a CVT transmission, and I can literally feel some of the commenters moaning about a CVT transmission, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my foot down. I need to get in front of this person. The CVT is excellent. It's fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I've driven this and the gasoline engine back to back when Toyota invited me out to drive this at their launch event for the car, and the 8-speed automatic kind of sucks. I don't like the way that transmission feels with this 4-cylinder engine. The 4-cylinder is loud and groany, and the 8-speed just never wants to shift when I want it to shift. So I'd much prefer this CVT. When I go ahead and put my foot down for some power, it's there immediately. That's the benefit of having a CVT instead of an 8-speed with this drivetrain. So yeah, you may moan and groan about it, but I think it is by far the better option. And that's really going to help you out with fuel economy, because the EPA rates the RAV4 Hybrid at 41 mpg in the city, 38 on the highway. You're going to average 40 mpg combined. That is so good for a crossover vehicle. It's amazing. It's much better than what you're going to get in the non-hybrid. 0 to 60 is also less than the gas engine, 7.5 seconds, which is not bad. Let's go ahead and accelerate again. Yeah, you don't really feel any CVT shifts like some other manufacturers have done. I think that's fine. I'd actually kind of prefer it to just be this smooth linear power. Now, the one thing I don't like about this drivetrain is, as you might have heard just then, it's not a great sounding motor. This 4-cylinder really sounds like it's trying, even though honestly, like, the engine is pretty understressed, and I never feel like this vehicle is too slow for me. The hybrid does feel quicker than the gasoline engine, so I would drive both because this is by far the quieter of the two. But when you do go ahead and get your foot in it, it's kind of loud. And Toyotas recently have been kind of loud on the highway. The road noise has not been great. This suffers from the same issues, although it is not terrible. We do have some drive modes here. I can put it in eco, that'll kind of dial back my throttle response. I've got sport mode, that'll do the opposite, make it a little easier to get throttle. And I have this button called EV mode here. I can't push it now because I'm exceeding the maximum speed, but if you have a full battery, which you charge up by braking or by coasting or whatever, it charges up really quickly. It goes up and down pretty easily. If you do have battery and all the parameters are met, you can push that, and let's just say you make it back to your neighborhood and it's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, you can get back to your house using electric power alone. That'll limit how much throttle you're able to use, so not really something that you can practically drive around in all the time. But it will save you gas mileage, and here's the main reason why I recommend the hybrid. It's the most powerful, which is great. That's one of the first times I can remember where the hybrid is more powerful than its gasoline equivalent. The regular non-hybrid RAV4, if you're interested, produces 203 horsepower from a 2.5-liter four-cylinder, but you're only going to get 27 mpg in the city, 34 on the highway, 30 combined. So 10 mpg less combined, with all-wheel drive, that is, because this hybrid model only comes with all-wheel drive. You can get a front-wheel drive version of the gas engine. If you factor in all-wheel drive to the gas engine, this hybrid only costs about $1,000 more. And I looked up how much the EPA assumes you're going to pay in gas per year. You're going to pay about $1,300 a year for average driving miles in the regular RAV4, only about $950 for this hybrid. So you're going to save a little over $300 a year. That $1,000, that's going to get saved real quick in about 3 years, or by the time you're done paying this car off. So I definitely think that's worth it. So now that we've driven the RAV4 hybrid and talked a little bit about the driving dynamics, I just want to mention Toyota's safety technology. Their Toyota Safety Sense comes standard on this car. Adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist. This has some of the best lane keep assist that I've tested in a Toyota vehicle. It will do the steering for you. It's not quite as good as Kia's or even Honda's for that matter. So I think Toyota can still improve on that a little bit, but I love that all of that comes standard, making this just such a great value. So in my recommendation, if you're going to be getting a RAV4 hybrid, and I do think you should, get the hybrid version, not the regular gas-engined RAV4. Now that we've talked about how it drives, let's go ahead and pull on over so that we can talk about the RAV4's interior. We've got the limited grade, so we've got the nicest cabin possible in one of these. Okay, so we've got a lot to talk about here on the interior of the RAV4 because we're sitting in the limited grade with a couple of options. Mainly, we've got a weather package that's going to give us heated and ventilated seat controls. Those can be found here. We've also got the optional 360-degree camera here. That's part of an optional tech package. I think it looks really good, especially for a mainstream car. The resolution is not quite that great, but the way that it's stitched together seamlessly is pretty cool, especially at this price range. And you may be hearing, now that I have the car in reverse, can you listen? I'm going to shut up for just 2 seconds so you can maybe listen. You hear that? It sounds like a humming, like a oh. That's the electric motor. It's emitting like a sound because the electric motor is silent and safety regulations dictate that the car has to make some kind of sound. That's what that is. Sounds pretty cool. You've got this pretty interesting gauge cluster. It's a screen here in the middle, and you've got regular analog gauges on the outside. No tachometer, as Toyota usually does with their hybrid vehicles. You have the Eco Power Charge. You've got your typical Toyota steering wheel. This is pretty similar to what you'd get on other Toyota products. Here over to the left here, we've got our heated steering wheel control. We've got our surround view that I can click here to get sort of a different view of the car. Pretty cool. Helps to make sure that you're parking very easily. I love the 360-degree camera. We've got our shifter here for the CVT transmission. That's pretty normal. And in front of it, we've got our QI wireless charger. We've got places to plug in some devices. And for the first time, finally, Android Android Auto. Voila, we finally have Android Auto on Toyota vehicles. Not every Toyota vehicle has this, but the RAV4 does, and they're starting to get wiser with that. We've got our drive mode controllers here. Push for normal, turn to the left for eco, turn to the right for sport. It changes the gauges, and I like how this light changes. This little button has like a light on it that changes colors depending on what mode you're in. You've got your EV mode here, and as I mentioned, you can only go limited speeds, you know, for very limited amounts of driving on that. And we do have a trail mode if you're ever going to off-road this. The premium materials in here, this is the highest trim level, are pretty good. Leather wrapped steering wheel, soft touch materials throughout. This is one of the nicer Toyota cabins. There are some hard touch plastics, but not too many of those. In addition to the storage here, the passenger is going to have this huge cubby right here above the glove box, and the driver is going to have a miniature version of that over here to the left of the steering wheel. So tons of storage. You're going to be able to put your phone, your keys, your wallet. You're going to have space for everything here. So I absolutely love it. Another cool feature we have here is this digital mirror. If I go ahead and flick this here, that's going to give us our digital mirror. So instead of having just a normal mirror, we're going to have a camera system. Works pretty well. This isn't the first time I've seen it, but it's interesting that Toyota is adopting that pretty early in the game. Now let's go ahead and check out the back seat, where you might want to put your kids or even your adult passengers. Now back here, you're going to get 37.8 inches of legroom, which is pretty good, but not class leading. I have plenty of legroom. I wish the seats slid forwards and backwards, but they don't. What I do have is heated seats as part of an optional weather package. I've got 2 USBs to charge up my devices and air vents here, so the kiddos will never be too hot or too cold. I do wish that Toyota had sent me a RAV4 with the panoramic roof, because it is a little bit dismal sitting back here, but they did not. It is optionally available on this limited grade. Now let's go ahead and check out the cargo area. Back here, Toyota sent me a RAV4 with the hands-free liftgate. So of course, I always like to try it without any cuts, without any edits, to show you whether or not it works in reality. Let's go ahead and give that a shot. No problem, that was actually pretty easy. This is one of the better hands-free liftgates I've ever used. It opens up to 37.5 cubic feet of storage. If you fold down the rear seat, which can only be done all the way over here on these latches here, opens up to about 68.9 cubic feet of space. That's pretty good for this compact class, just not class leading, meaning that the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid is a pretty practical vehicle, just not the largest in the segment, which is fine if you ask me. Now let's go ahead and price out our RAV4 Hybrid and sum up our time with it. All right, let's price out our 2020 RAV4 Hybrid limited grade and sum it up with a CarBuzz score. So starting price on a Toyota RAV4 Hybrid XLE is going to start just above $28,000. Stepping up to this high grade limited trim is going to bump the price to the mid $36,000 range. Now we've got a couple of options here. We've got that cold weather package, heated and ventilated seats, heated rear seats, bird's eye camera. That's part of a technology package. So with those $2,000 options added, the as tested price of this is just under $41,000. That might be a bit out of your price range, but I think you can restrain yourself and stick with one of those mid trims, keeping this vehicle under the $40,000 mark, earning it a CarBuzz score of must buy. I wouldn't hesitate to buy a Toyota RAV4. I wouldn't hesitate to buy the Hybrid. In fact, I think the Hybrid is much better than the gas engine version of this car, and it is the one I'd recommend out of the two. I hope you've enjoyed this video. See you next time.